work for free.
Why don't we cut you up into little pieces and feed you to your pooches? And then we'll see how loyal a hungry dog really is. It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
The Batman blockbuster, The Dark Knight, still garnering rave reviews, and there's already Oscar buzz for the late Heath Ledger's turn as the villainous Joker. But all that aside, is The Dark Knight also a movie praising President Bush and how he carried out the war on terror? CNN Headline News host Glenn Beck has more than a few thoughts on that. This is going to be interesting. Good morning, Glenn. How are you making the parallel between Batman and George Bush?
I find it hard to believe that somebody can't make the parallel if you've seen this. I mean, I heard this talk beforehand, and I'm like, come on. There's no way that is possible. And then I said in the movie, and honestly, I was confused the whole time. I was like, wait a minute. This seems to be a movie that extols some of the conservative viewpoints that we are dealing with terrorists, that you can trust people to make the right decision, that sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do, and you have to cross lines that you don't want to cross if you're going to save your city. In this case, it's Gotham or our country.
Give us some, for instance, Glenn. I mean, we're talking about Batman going against the Joker. I guess that's George Bush going against.
I don't even know if I wouldn't concentrate on the Batman.
I try not to give away the movie for those.
Yeah. I wouldn't concentrate that Batman is George Bush. I don't know if it's George Bush. I mean, the one thing that made sense to me is at first. Batman's fighting it in a way he doesn't really, he's thinking, well, I don't want to go too far, yada, yada, yada. And then finally he does step to the plate. Maybe that makes him George Bush. I think this is just much more of a movie, and it was shocking to me, of conservative values on the war on terror. First of all, there is rendition, which I'm not even sure I'm for. But Batman goes into another country and with a C-130 snatches a guy out and then throws him back here into Gotham. So there's rendition. At one point, the Morgan Freeman character says to Batman, wait a minute, hang on, you're eavesdropping on everyone in Gotham? And Batman says, yes, to stop this terrorist. Morgan Freeman says, I can't be a part of it. And yet, Morgan Freeman does become a part of it, and they find the Joker. One of the ways they find the Joker is through eavesdropping. I mean, the parallels here of what's going on is, to me, stunning.
You're not the only one. This kind of got started with an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal by mystery writer Andrew Clavin. Let's read what he said. He said, The Dark Knight is at some level praise to the fortitude and moral courage that has been shown by George W. Bush in this time of terror and war. Like Bush, Batman is vilified and despised for confronting terrorists in the only terms they understand. That said, Glenn, and when you think about Hollywood and how much conservatives think that it's just the liberal capital of the world, how could Hollywood and their producers possibly be praising a conservative administration?
Oh, I have to tell you, that was the shock. I sat there in the movie theater with my family, and I looked at them and I said, I must have missed the message here that, America is evil and the terrorist somehow or another was misunderstood. I have no idea how this movie was made. I don't know how else to read this movie, though. It's shocking. And one of the great things about it is that Gotham is worth saving, that the people actually do the right thing in the end. And the other thing that I had a private conversation with President Bush in the Oval Office, and I'm not really a fan of President Bush, and it was about a year ago. And he was talking about the troops and the war on terror, and he looked at me and he said, Glenn, I have to tell you something. I am willing to be hated for the next 50 years. I am willing to die as the worst president ever because on the war on terror, I know it has to be fought. I know we're dealing with evil here. And you know what? It's exactly the message that Batman carries. You know what? I'm going to be the Dark Knight. I'll be the guy who cleans it up because somebody has to, because the red tape and all the rules, and this is the movie, all the rules are going to get us all killed.
Interesting perspective. They're forecasting Batman to be number 2 only to Titanic, but now with this extra buzz we've created, maybe we'll send more people to the movie theater.
It's actually satisfying to be right on Hollywood. Maybe you should write something where the good guy is the good guy and the bad guy is the bad guy and the good guy wins in the end. It's what America wants to see.
Glenn, always good to see you, my friend.
Thanks a lot.